you spend time not only in sports, which I love, and you also talked about your time in broadcasting. I want to get into your time in broadcasting a little bit,
Yeah.
share one of your great achievements in that area and some of the stories you got. And then I want to hear that playoff take you got. You said you got a hot playoff take. I want to hear
Oh yeah.
all of those
Oh
things.
yeah.
So let's start with the broadcasting. What got you into broadcasting? What you experienced there in your time doing that?
Yeah, I started in these little towns. My dad was doing tape delayed football play by play, and I really wanted to get into it and do some too. So I asked him, "Hey, can I do a quarter with you? Like I could do the color and then do a quarter play by play." And so we did it. We kind of shifted around. I remember between the third and fourth quarters, we're shifting back so he could do play by play. And I said, "Well, how was it?" And he goes, "It's depressing." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're already better than I am." So I really loved the play by play. And I wound up doing some small college football and that kind of thing as far as play by play was concerned. I did everything from football to volleyball to dirt track racing. I mean, just all kinds of crazy stuff when you're working for radio stations of different kinds. But I eventually um, got more into the sports talk end of it. And I was working for a national radio network, but the way I got there was that I had started a Dallas show called the Women's Sports Hour. And I had a female partner, and we covered
Oh,
women's sports. And nobody was really covering women's sports at the time, but it was a rich time because this was in the 90s. So we were talking to people like Nancy Lieberman, Christy Yamaguchi. We would have Nadia Comaneci on the show. We had the like the 96 women's basketball team that won the gold. We had, Cheryl Swoops, all kinds of those
oh my
players
goodness! Wow, let's talk
joined
about it.
us. Yeah,
Okay.
and eventually what happened was we went up to this new national network that was called Prime Sports Radio, but eventually turned into Fox Sports Radio. And
I remember that.
so yeah, yeah. So what happened was the the way we auditioned is they said, "Hey, we'll let you try out for 4 weeks on a Saturday morning, and if you pass the audition, then you can be on our show regularly." Okay, on our network. So the first week we had some author first on, and then we shifted over and we were going to have an Olympic gymnast, Dominique Dawes, on with us. She was on the Olympic team.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
Dominique was like at a football game or something, and she was trying to call us from a payphone at the station at stadium, and the signal kept dropping and all this. And finally, and it was terrible sound. I finally just said, you know how it is. I just had to say, okay, no more. This isn't radio worthy. So let's just cut it off and let's talk the rest of the time. So we had 20 minutes to go and an hour that was unplanned. And my partner and I just kind of whisked through it. And afterward, the producer talks to me. He says, rough day, huh? And I said, yeah, I'm really sorry. And he goes, you handled it like a pro. I don't need to hear 3 more weeks. You're hired. So we were on the
That's
national
awesome, man.
network then. So